this marathon. And last but not least, Eric Sanderson, introduce his.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, thanks very much for staying. Those were two fantastic presentations. I'm Eric Sanderson from the Wildlife Conservation Society, and I've been the leader of a capstone on the Welikia project about the historical and contemporary ecology of New York City. And I have to say, I'm so proud of the hard work the students put in over the course of the semester, and I almost don't even feel like they're students anymore. I feel much more like their colleagues. And I really want to thank them for all their efforts. And what they're going to show you tonight builds on the efforts of the capstone last year. So this is an ongoing project for the Wildlife Conservation Society, and it's really coming together. So I hope you enjoy. David.
Thanks for the introduction, Professor Sanderson, and thanks to all of you for coming to the capstone presentations. This has been a great opportunity for us to all sit back and enjoy and appreciate the work that all of our friends and colleagues have been doing over the semester and over our college careers. So congratulations to everyone who's been presenting. And now we'd like to show you what we've been up to. This is our presentation on the Welikia project, mentored by Dr. Eric Sanderson of the Wildlife Conservation Society. This is a satellite photo of the New York City area. Shows all the boroughs and part of New Jersey. In essence, a big part of our process consists of taking geographical information from historical maps and laying it over the current landscape, kind of like this. And without going into too much technical detail, which we'll get into later, this basically allows us to see the relationship between the historical landscape and what we have now. So here we've laid over two of the maps from our work, both done by U.S. Coastal Survey cartographers in the mid-1800s. And before we go any further, I'd like to give our work a little bit of context. The framework and inspiration for our project comes from the Mannahatta project, which was also devised and orchestrated by Dr. Eric Sanderson. For those of you unfamiliar with it, I'll summarize it briefly. The Mannahatta project sought to re-envision Manhattan as it was seen on September 12th by Henry Hudson, sailing then for the Dutch East India Company. The inspiration for the project came from this map, that one, which is a 1782 map called the British Headquarters Map, made by the British when they controlled Manhattan near the end of the American Revolution. So the Lenape, the Native American tribe who lived in Mannahatta, called it the land of many hills, and as you can see here, it really was that. And the difference between that and what we have now is pretty stark. So what Dr. Sanderson did is geo-reference this map, and we'll get into what that means later, as well as many others, to the grid of the modern-day city. Essentially, this allowed him to create a virtual map of the island as it was before the domination of human influence, and revealed an island with remarkable, rich ecological diversity. Could have very well been the Yosemite or the Yellowstone of the East Coast if settlers had started in California and gone around the other way. So when the project was done, Dr. Sanderson was able to show that before Manhattan looked like this, it looked something like this. So the complete map's available online, free for anyone, and provides a block-by-block analysis of the ecology before there were streets, much less subways and skyscrapers. And before we move on to our work, it bears mentioning that Mannahatta was a huge success in New York and elsewhere. The project provides us with a new framework for restorative ecology projects, urban planning, and more than anything else, maybe enriches our culture as New Yorkers and environmentalists by deepening our understanding of what our home was like before we transformed it into a metropolis.
So after the decade-long Mannahatta project uncovered the original ecology of Manhattan, why are we doing the Welikia project this semester? The Welikia project encompasses the 4 outer boroughs of New York City: East Bronx, East Queens, Jamaica Bay, and Brooklyn. It discovers the original ecology of these areas and compares it to what we have today. Welikia means my good home in Lenape, which was the Native American language spoken in the New York City region during the time of first contact with Europeans. Welikia, or My Good Home, is a very fitting title for this project, as it will provide a basis for all people of New York City an understanding of the natural heritage of their city, regardless of what borough they live in. Currently, 6.4 million people live in the outer boroughs of New York City. Some of the largest parks in the city are located in these outer boroughs, and thus the greatest opportunities to enhance the natural beauty of the New York City region exist in these outer boroughs. These opportunities motivated us to focus on measuring the current day biodiversity of the city, specifically in the context of the communities and species of 400 years ago. This information will allow us to determine what is doing well, where we can improve, and what we lack, in order to educate all people of New York about New York City and where we came from, where we are today, and where we're going in the future. The science that drives this process is called landscape ecology. Landscape ecology is the study of how different ecosystems combine together to form a habitat for plants and animals. Our goal in the Welikia project is to build a digital version of New York City's original ecological landscape, layer by layer, specifically the ecological landscapes of East Queens, East Bronx, Jamaica Bay, and Brooklyn. We'll now hear more about the methods we use to go about recreating these areas.
All right, now I would like to talk to you about the specific processes and steps we took throughout the semester. The majority of our work utilized a system called GIS. But what is GIS? GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. GIS integrates hardware, software, and data for managing, analyzing, and displaying all types of geographical information. Now, I bet everyone in this room has, without realizing it, has seen the everyday use of GIS. What is GIS used for? These are some examples of what GIS is used for in everyday processes. It manages data for the population census. It is also used for targeting areas of high crime. It can help business owners to decide where to place services such as hospitals, restaurants, or even banks, and is very valuable in the ecology field. It manages the data for geological surveys, and it can also be useful in things such as determining critical habitats of endangered species. But how is GIS useful to the Welikia project? Through GIS, we are able to utilize historical maps to see how ecological features, such as wetlands, forests, and shoreline, have changed over time. From these features, we can determine ecological communities of the past, and therefore create a geographical overview of the ecology of the past in the area we are examining. The first step in our process was to find images of the area we are examining. This led us to places all over the city with historical map archives, such as the New York Historical Societies, New York Public Libraries, and even online map collections. After we found a variety of images, we had to select which ones to utilize. Some of the selection criteria that we decided upon was, what was the map used for? Was it used as a coastal survey? Was it created for the use of war, or even in a land plot? When was the map created? How detailed is the map, and what are some of the features that the map shows? After choosing the maps, we would want to enter them into the Welikia database. Here is a picture of what the Welikia database looks like and how everything is kept organized. This shot shows the spatial data resource management. It incorporates all images associated with the Welikia project. Every image here is given a number, and all GIS-related files can be found in this SDR database. Here is an example of a high-quality map we selected for use. First, let's look at the date. It was created in 1767. This is great because we are trying to mimic the 1609 landscape. Also, if we look at the zoomed-in box, we can see how detailed and clear the map is. It also portrays features such as streams, wetlands, forests, and shoreline, which are all very valuable in the Welikia project. Our next step was georeferencing. Georeferencing is defining something in physical space. But how do we do this? Utilizing GIS, we correlated our historical maps to physical coordinates. This aligns the map so it can be physically correlated to the present-day area it shows. To do this, we needed previously georeferenced images or an image already defined in physical space. Here, we can see a good example of a previously georeferenced map, the New York City Lion Street map. This was very valuable in our project in the georeferencing project. So, using the selection tool on the New York City street map, we can go to the area that we are examining, here shown as Flushing, Queens, and choose cross-sections of streets. Here we can see that the cross-section is Stanford Avenue and Union Street in Flushing, Queens. Next, we could go to the map that we are trying to align in georeference and try to make out the same point. We can also see right here that this is Stanford Avenue and Union Street. Now we can select both points and physically correlate them. This connects them to represent the same physical location in space. These points are referred to as control points. Now I can see that the map is starting to align with the New York City street map. This is the final georeference product. The more control points are better, and also the more widely distributed, the better. GIS also produces a calculation called root mean square error, which is based on the number of control points that we use. This indicates how precisely our image correlates to the previously georeferenced image. An RMS error of less than 20 meters was targeted to ensure precision. Now I would like to hand it off to Catherine and Evan.
All right, so we're going to take a look at some of the maps that were most important to our project. The first one that we're going to talk about is a coastal survey map from 1844. The surveyor was Ferdinand Rudolf Hassler. He was a Swiss surveyor who was the first ever superintendent of the American Coastal Survey, which commenced in 1817 near the New York Harbor. Hassler's coastal survey maps were very important for our project. This was because of their high level of detail and precision. Don't send. Sorry.